professional fights. That's because of the early start at the age of 16. Here's a look at Gianfranco Rossi, the challenger. He'll be 32 years old in September. You can see a relatively light-hitting challenger, only 15 knockouts in his 48 professional fights. Here are the rules for today's fight. We're fighting under the IBF rules. He's scoring on the 10-point must. No 3-knockdown rule. Neither is a standing 8 in effect. And a fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. Tony Perez of the United States is our referee. He gives the fighters their final instructions. And we have 3 scoring judges here today. 2 from the United States, Lynn Carter and Frank Brunet. And one of our scoring judges is from Rossi's home country of Italy, Benedetto Montella. Darren Van Horn going through his ritual of slapping himself in the face, and the bell sounds, and here we go with round 1.
You might have seen getting the instructions in the ring with Darren Van Horn, Jesse Reed, a new trainer on the fight in which he won the title. A lot of people gave Hedgeman Lewis a lot of credit for raising the skills of Darren Van Horn in that fight.
Oh, and a left-right combination by Rossi floors Van Horn. Darren Van Horn, who takes a lot of punches, that time caught totally by surprise by the left, and then the big right from Gianfranco Rossi.
Darren Van Horn says he likes to get hit to wake him up. He got a very early wake-up call here. As you said earlier, Rossi is not known as a big puncher, but he put a 1-2 on Darren Van Horn and dropped him.
And Van Horn right now trying to hang on, and Rossi just in for the kill. And at 20 years old, how mature is Darren Van Horn? Can he hang on and survive the first round?
Generally, when he's been hurt in the past, he's never been down before. That's the first time in his pro career. But generally in the past, he has fought back well.
He'll be smart to hang on to Rossi, who's trying to load up for the big one.
The irony here, Dan, is that Darren Van Horn thought coming into this fight, one of the keys was to stay away from Rossi, not let him grab him.
It's been a trademark of Van Horn during his career that whenever he's been hit, he's always responded with a big flurry. He's the kind of a guy that when he takes the shot, it kind of flips a switch, and he comes back with some meaningful blows, but he's never been hit like that before. And so far, Alex, pretty effective job of surviving. And that's all it is right now for Darren Van Horn.
Came close to going down there, but did not.
Watch Gianfranco Rossi fight. He likes to hold and hit. He likes to grab with the left and hit with the right.
Exactly right. And Darren Van Horn knows that. He says he's got to grab that right, as he's doing right there in the clinch.
Survival for Darren Van Horn, clutching and grabbing.
He's always been known as a guy who is easy to hit, but he's always also been known as a guy with a great chin. I was shocked, I am shocked, that a light-hitting guy like Rossi was able to drop him.
Yeah, right on the heels of my saying, only 15 knockouts in 48 fights. And Darren Van Horn appears to have recovered. He loads up with a big right, but overextends, and now Rossi forces him up against the ropes. Darren Van Horn in the blue trunks. Gianfranco Rossi, the challenger, in the yellow. We're coming to the close of the first round, and Darren Van Horn still here.
Stopped him. And the top left, a left and a right in combination. Down went Van Horn, but he survived.
And here we are back in the second round. A wary look on the face of Darren Van Horn. Tries with a big right and misses. Oh, and a good left that time by Van Horn. Keep in mind, only 20 years old is young Van Horn. The surprise of his life in the first round, Alex. Oh, and another good combination by Rossi.
There you saw the awkwardness of Rossi. You pointed out that Gianfranco is a natural athlete. He's not a goal. He hurt him again a little bit. Had his feet going funny and off balance.
That was a left to the chest that actually knocked Van Horn off balance.
Jesse Reed, his new trainer, said that they've been working almost nonstop on Darren's balance, trying to get him better leverage and better punching power. So far, that balance has not been there for him.
This is action in the second round from Atlantic City for the IBF junior middleweight title of Darren Van Horns in the blue trunks. And right now, Gianfranco Rossi has to think that it's well within reach.
There you see Rossi tying him up and punching on the clinch. Now let's see if he also has a patented move, and that is punching on the break. He did not do it then.
A right from Van Horn that just tickled the chin of Rossi. Didn't really do any damage. Darren Van Horn told us that when they got in the clinch that he was going to try to grab one of the arms of Rossi to keep him from doing that damage in close.
The right arm.
He's going to try to grab the right. Obviously the one he fears most.
That time it was Rossi grabbing Van Horn's left. Good right in combination by Rossi.
A left from Van Horn missed, and Rossi moved right back inside and scored to the body.
We concentrate a lot about the physical aspects of this sport, Dan. The mental aspects are very important. Darren Van Horn came into this fight with his...
Another combination. The same left, right, and the right buckled the knees of Van Horn. The second time that's wounded Van Horn.
Van Horn came into this fight with his confidence sky high. We had no idea of the mental state of Gianfranco Rossi. It was a big question, but that knockdown in the first round had to send his confidence up, and Darren Van Horn has to be shaken.
There's no doubt that Van Horn can take a punch. It's been the trademark of his career, and again, Rossi wants to find out how good of a punch can he take, and he's tested him so far. Another big round for Rossi. Bell, and this is the third round, a fight where both of the first two rounds have seen Darren Van Horn wounded. In the final 15 seconds, he was stunned again, Alex, of the second round.
Obviously a 10-8 first round for Rossi, a 10-9 on my scorecard in the second round, but you know, that's leaning, getting close to a 10-8. I mean, he totally dominated and had him a little bit hurt. But still, 3 points ahead after 2 rounds is a big, you know, that's about as fast a start as you can hope for.
The left eye of Darren Van Horn is certainly red. It's difficult to tell as it's beginning to swell. Oh, and another combination from Rossi.
And Rossi just beating Van Horn to the punch. He's getting off first, putting punches together. Van Horn not slipping punches the way he did in winning the title against Hines. All the skill that Darren Van Horn showed in that fight against Robert Bam Bam Hines is absolutely out the window right now.
Well, it's actually Gianfranco Rossi turning his back and walking away with a headlock. It's actually Rossi who's fighting Van Horn's fight. And again, a right lead scores. You expected this kind of, from the opening bell, aggression from Van Horn, not necessarily Rossi, Alex.
And the thing that really surprises me is the quickness of Rossi, how much faster he is right now than Van Horn. I think that's because Van Horn is trying to load his punches up too much. He's not letting his hands go and putting punches together. He's just loading up, and he's real tight. And again, Van Horn grabs. Rossi putting punches. There you see the mouthpiece of Gianfranco Rossi. He's put out a lot of punches right now. Whether he can maintain this pace is dubious. But you can't blame him for wanting to pour it on now that he's got his man in a little trouble, as he has almost from the opening bell.
No, you sure can't. Darren Van Horn, not sure whether or not he was going to re-enroll this fall at the University of Kentucky. I doubt it's going through his mind right now, but it certainly might after this fight.
Well, there might have been a moment when he's picking himself off the canvas when he thought about re-enrolling. But he's fought back hard here. He just hasn't found the key. There you saw him pull out his left eyebrow as though he caught a little something there. There, he landed a punch, but it was a slap more than a good stiff punch.
And that first combination from Rossi hit the gloves of Van Horn. Didn't really do any damage. But again, Van Horn has always been susceptible to getting hit. He's taken a lot of shots in his career, and one thing Gianfranco Rossi stated before the fight was, I'm not afraid of that 39-0 record. I, talking about Rossi, have faced 4 world champions. He believes the better quality of opponent that he's faced would help him in this fight, Alex. coming to the close of the third round. Again, Gianfranco Rossi. And we're started here in Atlantic City in the fourth round. The IBF Junior Middleweight Championship at Trump Castle. The title held by Darren Van Horn there in the blue trunks. Gianfranco Rossi, the challenger from Italy, has dominated this fight to this point. He floored Van Horn, dropped him in round number 1, had him staggered in round number 2, and dominated again in round 3.
And right now, he's not landing more punches right now, but he's fighting his fight. This is where Rossi likes to be. Darren Van Horn knew that before the fight. He said he had to step back and get punching room, not let Rossi grab him, not get into that kind of a brawling fight. He just has not been able to gather himself since the knockdown in round 1.
Darren Schoolboy Van Horn there loading up with the big one. Rossi certainly, Alex, has been aggressive. His corner between rounds advising him to continue punching. Don't stop the rest. Rossi's people not wanting this to go the distance. Although both fighters apparently superbly conditioned, Alex.
Swelling under the right eye of Gianfranco Rossi. Rossi is very vulnerable when he jumps in like he just did there, Dan. That's when he can be caught with counter punches. Darren Van Horn counterpunched beautifully against Hines in winning the title. He has not caught him yet. But when Rossi lost his title to Curry, that's when he got caught by Donald Curry. Inside, lefts, and rights. Single punches as he was jumping in, lunging in off balance.
Both fighters trying to score inside. You see again the example of Van Horn clutching the right arm of Rossi, trying to make him a one-arm fighter when they're in the clinch.
And that time on the inside, in the clinch, Darren Van Horn actually got off the 2 better scoring blows to the body. There he stepped back, tried to land a right hand. Rossi
Again, good look, grabbing the right arm.
Right, and you saw Rossi slip at 3 and land a punch, and there, score a good 1-2 at distance. I think Rossi would be well advised to fight a little bit better at distance. And there again, Rossi getting off on the break of the clinch.
It's Rossi who's scoring on the combination. Fighting a smarter fight, not trying to load up with a big punch. Oh, and there's a good right from Van Horn, and that appears to have staggered Rossi.
Right on the temple, and that did hurt him. He's fighting back here, but he was momentarily stunned.
Inside 20 seconds in the fourth round. And for the first time, Darren Van Horn has landed a meaningful blow. Oh, and a good combination back from Rossi. This is the close of the fourth. Here's the beginning of the fifth round in Atlantic City, the IBF World Junior Middleweight Championship.